Welcome back to Refactoring Failure Rows, where we take a 20-year-old app and modernize it. My name is Tom. This episode, we're going to drop our XML file formats. In the application, we have a bunch of types out there that support reading and writing XML. And we had XML for two primary purposes. One, we did originally in this app use XML as the main document format. And there's two versions of this. We have a choice of importing data using FileMaker XML. As far as I know, this code all works, but I made a decision that it's time to get rid of it. So there's a bunch of reasons why we want to get rid of it. And first and foremost is that there's very few people that actually have files in these formats. If we don't need to support that, then we can just drop it. In terms of import formats, primarily the FileMaker format, I don't have that application anymore. I haven't had it for years, so I can't generate new files right now. Importing it would be a little bit dangerous because I don't know if my importer will work with modern versions. And given all that, a few users, and I don't have the software anymore, I need to direct energy at things are being used. Now, with that, you can make an idea that all this code should just be left there, but I really don't know how well it's going to work. And if it was working perfectly fine, it does take up resources that probably should be directed elsewhere. For example, it adds to the compile time, makes every build a little longer, and it also takes up memory bandwidth, my memory bandwidth, to figure out what's going on with all this code. Not to mention whether or not if we're using AI, these files could also take up and use up AI context and make it harder for the AI to solve problems. But if necessary, we can resurrect that code if we need to. We have it in the repo, we can bring it back and re-implement it if we need. That is one of the tricky things to understand about writing code is that when you delete code, as long as it's in the repo, you can get it back. And that's an important thing about having your code in a repo. You can get code back. Now, to be honest, most of this code we won't want back directly. We may need it to understand the file formats, but we probably won't even want this code if we decide to bring support back for these files. The first thing I want to do is get rid of at least one of these little annoyances I have down here. This unknown class, LITM dragging corner control. This was a view that I was using in the application that technically is still there, but it was actually from another library, this LITM library I keep mentioning. But let's get rid of this first before we go on to do anything else. So as you can see, this is a view inside of a div. Not particularly difficult thing to work with. We can just delete it. But before we do that, I want to make sure I disconnect everything. I have found from time to time that if I don't disconnect things first, they can linger and cause crashes. So let's see if we can get rid of these connections. So here it is, table view corner. Let's disconnect that. And now nobody's referring to this anymore. Let's delete it from the application. Save it. Let's do a quick build and test. So it's possible that can come back to bite us at some point in the future, but let's hope not. Here we are in the Xrows document. What we want to do is we want the compiler to assist us in this process. So the quickest way to get started is simply find the key piece of code and just simply delete it and see what else happens. We have this import, LITM XML tree. Again, this was from another library at one point. I brought it in for this project, and now I want to get rid of it. Let's get rid of this file, which is actually right here. Select them both, and we'll delete. Okay, as you can see, we have some errors, as we expect. And let's start cleaning out LITM XML tree. Get rid of that there. There's no other references in this file, but let's go to the header. And you can see that we have in the class list, but nowhere else. Build again, and we can go to the next point. So what I'll do is I'll speed this up, and I'll just go through the process. All right, we've gotten rid of references for LITM XML tree everywhere except for 3 places. XML or XR file parser, XR file parser 1, and LITM XML parser. So let's see who's using this. I want to make sure we're doing the right thing here. Find these files. Let's see what happens if we just simply delete this. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to make a commit. I'll be right back. Okay, I made a quick commit. It's not necessarily where I want to commit because the app's kind of broken right now. But in this case, I'm going to go with it because we made so many changes. So let's see what would happen if we get rid of this parser altogether. Oh, there's parser tree we missed. So we have these file parsers as well. Let's see if we can get rid of those. Another one we missed. All right, we've done it. We've managed to strip out our XML parsers. I'm going to make another commit after I do a few tests, and then we'll take a look at the FileMaker import. So I've done a commit, did some testing. I found a few mistakes that I went ahead and fixed. So the question is, what do we have lingering? So if we do a search for XML, we can still see that we have an XML parser, which is for FM, which is the FileMaker file. FileMaker is a great application, but I don't use it anymore, so I have no way of being able to ensure that I can still properly parse those files. So that's something I want to get rid of as well. So let's go ahead and do that. So in place we see this is table importer. And we want to make sure we no longer import XML. All right, so we pretty much got rid of our XML types that bring in stuff. But we do have some other XML-y things in the app. See if we can find a few of these. Here are a couple. One of them is this binary encoding. This was a tool to encode and decode in base64 from data to strings back to data. Unfortunately, I can't get rid of these because I'm using them for more than just XML. I could rename them, but I don't think I'll need them much longer. Once I switch over to Swift, all that is easily built in. What about this node protocol? Do we use it anywhere? No, we don't. We should be able to get rid of it. Let's just look for XML now. There's still a few lingering XML trees. Let's get rid of those. So one thing I've noticed is that I have a few of these XML types. The question is, do I still use them? Yeah, they're not really XML anymore, but I'm not going to change the names just now. It's fine. It's going to go away. We can change them once we switch things over. We need binary coding. Again, this is the same XML stuff that we do still use. So I'm going to leave that for now. Okay, well, that's about it. I'll commit it and wrap this up and we'll be done. Well, at least with this portion. What we managed to do is we did a few UI fixes and we also removed all the XML from this application, at least our support for XML, because it's an old format we're no longer using. We decided no longer to support it. And we got that code out of the way so we have less to worry about as we try to fix our reading and writing to disk. All right, my name is Tom. Come back again, and we're going to see what the next step is to get this app moving forward. See you next time.